Let's dismiss.
Yeah, what's up? What's good? What's happening? Welcome to the King and Me Show. I'm one half of this thing, King.
Hey y'all, it's me, Michelle. How y'all doing?
We here at the King and Me attempt to offer a real outlook on a healthy relationship. Real being relatable,
Entertaining
accountable.
and loving.
We celebrated a milestone on this channel. This channel, as of today, I believe,
Oh,
is 2 years old.
are you serious?
Yep.
Oh.
If YouTube isn't psyching us out, we are officially 2 years old on our channel, which means that our relationship is about 2 and some change. Do you know how many months we are?
I do.
I don't.
We're 30 months in one day.
30 months. You know the day.
Because it was yesterday that marked 30 months. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, that's good. So we've made it 30 months in
30
one
months.
day.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, some of these modern relationships, they get like 6 months.
Look,
max.
30 months in today's dating situation it has to be like 5 years. Has to be.
Yeah, that's like dog year equation for relationships.
Exactly.
Rock on. Well, first of all, thank y'all for tuning in. If you're new to our live stream, Michelle and I go live every Monday at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Standard Time Zone. We also put this out for audio replay as well on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. So be sure to check us out on there as well. And we got some listeners that check out our audio-only podcast. So we do want to give y'all a salute and thank you as well. Now, let's see. We got to check and make sure. I think this is one of the first times that we've streamed where we've had 0 technical issues in 2025. Knock on wood. Do whatever we got to do to make that's the thing. Dang it, I was hoping that we had this fixed. I got to figure out specifically with our technical director, Michael Carasquillo.
I love how you just called him all the way out.
How to get that up there. So until we do that, I'm going to pop this up here. And we're just going to have our chats this way. Man, I was hoping that I had that fixed.
But it's okay.
Michelle.
What's up, hon?
How you doing?
I'm doing great-ish. Great adjacent.
This is your last day of spring break.
That's where the adjacent comes in. But you know what's funny? So my words are yellow, right? But on the screen, because of, some of the things that we're using, the words show up pink. Well, this is pink. But because of the filters and stuff that we're using, it shows up like the mustard yellow that's on the shirt.
Mustard.
Mustard on a beat. But in this case, we're looking at mustard coming from Matthew 17:20, which says when you have faith the size of a mustard seed, y'all, you can tell that mountain to be moved and it shall be moved. Just a little praise break moment. Y'all better look at that situation that you in, speak life, and tell that situation that it will not win. Victory has already been claimed. All right.
Know what else has been claimed?
What's that?
Your heart for me.
Aww.
Bam. I'm good at this. Boom.
That was good. That was good.
Boom.
I love it.
All right. So today, we didn't necessarily have a specific title for what we were talking about, but that was by design because we certainly have a couple of things in the hole. But Michelle and I have been chatting lately. There's some stuff that's upcoming that we've had to really plan for, and something else that popped up while we were planning out our future conversations and stuff too. You'll get where I'm going with this here in a minute.
You know me, stuff goes in one ear and gets lost and never makes its way back out. But go ahead.
So throughout our relationship, Michelle and I have lived separately. we are discussing moving in together this upcoming calendar year. So January, technically the end of December, but going into January 2026. And both Michelle and I, we have lived with romantic people together in the past. I lived with my ex-wife. You were in a relationship and you lived with someone for how long again?
Technically, we lived together for about like a little under 2 years.
A little under 2 years. And we talked about that a little bit in the past on some past episodes, but I think we can maybe deep dive a little bit more into some things and how they're going to apply for us going forward.
Okay. Yeah, I'm totally there. I'm just going to lower this just a wee bit so that people can see more of your shirt.
Be mindful, because if I do this, make sure that the one thing doesn't pop up. Oh, and we're still good.
Yeah, no. I'm like a pro at nothing.
All right, boom, because I might try to see if I could get this thing fixed right here.
Okay.
Now.
Uh-oh, did you break something?
We'll see.
Uh-oh. Okay. But yeah, so, we're moving in later on this year, and that's big. Like, I've been having like mini panic attacks here and there. So I'm going to talk to you, if that's okay. Audience, I'm going to talk to my man.
What up?
I'm talking to my man. I've been having like mini panic attacks here and there. And, I'll come to you and be like, oh, I'm so afraid about moving in with you. And it's because I know how I am. Like, I know I have OCD. Number one, I was diagnosed with it. Number two, it's very evident. If you spend enough time around me, it's very evident as how that I have OCD in addition to all the other D diagnoses that I have. But I'm like, I like things clean. Like, I'm not a person who believes in going to sleep with dishes in the sink. And I am, even though I'm not a birth mother, I am that Black mama who looks at one literal knife in the sink and be like, why are all these dishes in the sink? Like, I know that is me. I also know that I believe in germs and bacteria that exist in the bathroom. So close the toilet seat lid all the way. I believe that,
like, so not just the one main thing, but the lid too?
Because bacteria is like bacteria. There was a whole thing I saw on it, and like, So I'm that person. I'm that person who doesn't believe in like making the bed, but at least pulling the comforter all the way up.
I've noticed that.
So that, it gives the appearance that, it's made up. It's kind of like a present. Like, getting into my bed at night is a gift. Like, that is a blessing. It's not something that I take for granted. Many people aren't able to do it. So the fact that I am, like, I want to be able to peel it back like I'm unwrapping a gift and getting into my bed and enjoying it after a fresh shower, because that's another thing. I believe in taking a shower before you get in the house. I don't believe in sitting on a bed with your dirty outside clothes.
How about like the living room stuff?
Body. That's fine. Because, I can just Febreze that real quick.
Okay, so, all right, let's get into some details. Okay. Then, especially with that. So if I come home and I've come home from the outside and I sit down on the couch before I go upstairs and shower, if I go upstairs and shower and come back on that same couch, do we have cross-contamination going on right there?
I mean, low-key, it kind of is, but knowing me, I probably would have combined Febreze anyway. So I was like, you don't have to worry about it. Especially during this time of year. It's heavy pollen outside. So not because of you, but just in general, like, I'll do the same thing too. I'll come home, maybe in between stuff. Like Saturday, I had a whole bunch of things that I was bouncing around to. Friday, I had a whole bunch of things that I was bouncing around to, but I was tired. So in my outside clothes, I laid down on the couch and I took a nap. If I were ever to come back and get in that same position, like, I do need to run some Febreze over it, because outside was laced with pollen and gnats. And I don't want that to stay in the house in general, regardless of whether someone was about to go sit back in that spot again.
Okay, so what about all of that makes you nervous, though? Or what about that gives you a little bit of anxiety?
Is that going to be okay with you? Because in my mind, it all makes perfect sense. In my mind, that all makes sense. Like, it is what it is. I believe in closing the curtains after you shower. Like, I've
noticed that too.
I use that little shower spray to be able to spray and, help with buildup and, natural things that happen in the bathroom. And then I pull the shower curtain closed because I like my shower curtain. I like your shower curtain. And I feel that because you got your name on it, I'm like, that sucker should show all the time. So, I do weird stuff like that.
Mm-mm. Okay, let me see because we
First
can't
of
see
all,
who these names are.
no, that was there you go. It was Paul. But no, I'm laughing because I'm old enough to know that reference. Praise God. Oh my gosh, you don't know the Odd Couple?
I don't.
Yes, I know something he doesn't know, and he's older than me.
So does that make you a oldie too?
Wow,
I'm just saying.
you have to go there.
Paul, what advice do you have for a couple moving in together? I know every situation is different, but being that you're an OG in the game, if you don't mind and you got some time, share some things that you have when it comes to that move. Because I'll say this about your anxiety about some things. We've talked about this before. Now, I'm kind of the opposite in you. I would literally have 1.5 cups in every room that I
Oh my
frequent and
gosh.
visit.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I am also somebody that will have loose change any and everywhere, and I don't know why. I do know why, but whatever. What else about me? I don't even pull up my covers when I get out the bed. Those are things that I don't do. The toilet seat stays at whatever level and configuration it was when I used it. There is going to be an adjustment, right?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the things that I do at the place that I'm renting at now is because it's my place, but I know it's not compatible with you. Now, will there be an adjustment period? Yes. Is there anything that you said so far, that has been so way off base that it's making me worried? No. I am only going to ask you to just be patient with me while I conform. I'm going to say that word.
Adjust.
It's synonyms.
Adjust. No.
While I adjust to, things that in the end, what you're doing, and this is what I've shared with you before in private whenever you and I've talked, this is one of the things that it's benefiting everybody. Like, there's nothing that you've talked about that I'm like, oh, that's just selfish. Like, I'm not doing that. No. At the end of the day, the stuff that you talked about benefits both of us. So I'm cool with that. Now, could there be something that we haven't talked about that is going to rear its head up that might catch some resistance? The odds say that that's going to happen, right? Because this is a sidebar. We talked about the finances and how things were going to look once you and I move in together.
We learned something today.
And we learned something today.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't paid renter's insurance since 2009. I haven't seen a need to do it. Michelle has different thoughts about renter's insurance.
I believe in insurance. So we're talking about renter's insurance today, but what was it, like Thursday or Friday or something? We were going through how much I pay Verizon, and I pay Verizon way too much money than I should. But I've been a loyal customer of theirs for the past 15 and a half years. So I'm just like, okay, whatever, Verizon, I trust you. You give me service, I'll give you money. And I pay for insurance for my iPad, which is already paid off. And I told King that I paid for it, and he was like, And I thought it was just about the iPad insurance. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But then today when we were talking about moving in and how splitting the bills, what that was going to look like, King said he's never paid for renter's insurance. And I was like, hold up, wait a minute. And if you are renting from a homeowner, or if you're renting anywhere in general, the insurance that the owner is paying covers the building. It covers the owner's property, but the renter's insurance covers everything inside. Like, that covers all of your stuff. And I'm like, well, what if something happens? With all of the tech that we have, all the computers, all the gadgets, everything that we have, if we don't have something in place, if we don't have a level of insurance in place, then, oh goodness, God forbid something happens, then all of that stuff is just lost in the sauce. So, that was a little bit difficult of an adjustment, but It is what it is. You know it's okay, right?
I got this.
Okay. So that was an adjustment for me to hear that like he never pays it. I believe in bundling some stuff here and there. My insurance agent is phenomenal. She makes life so much easier for me. She knows that I'm a little spacey, so she just does all the work and just sends me the information and the documents to let me know how much everything is going to be, and we just move on and we have a great life. And I'm fine with that. So, I'm all for insurances. I believe in life insurance. I believe in car insurance. I believe in device insurance. And I believe in renter's insurance. I understand that for some, you may look at it and you're like, oh, it's a scam. Like you're paying all this money and you never need it. True. But what if I do? It's one of those things I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
And I've actually, honestly, never had a reason to use it. I've used it one time. And in that one time, even if I didn't use it, like I was okay with it. I've got the mindset of we'll get it back. Now, I get that that's bad. I do. But think about all the money that I've saved over these years by not having it. I'm not against it. I'm not against it. But it was an interesting revelation that you and I came to as we were talking about what that would look like. Because we're having to plan for some of the things that her and I are going to need once we move in together. Washer and dryer, living room set, dining room set, insurance.
It's like that's what I'm saying. All of those things are things that we have to buy and furnish in there. We might as well make sure we have insurance because God forbid something happens. Who feels like buying all that stuff again? Who got the money to buy all that stuff again?
Yeah, that's true. Now, I asked Paul Bennett earlier about anything that he would recommend. And he said, honestly, I have no reference. My wife and I did not live together. Did not live together before marriage. And I generally don't recommend it, but to each their own.
Yeah.
Why not? Well, why don't you recommend it? I have some thoughts about it. Depending on how strong your relationship is, I can think of, 3 couples. Yeah, 3. I put up 2 and said 3. 3 couples that have lived together before they were married, and they eventually got married, and they're still together to this day. I can't think of a couple, and they all had strong relationships. I can't think of a couple personally, whether they were married or not, that moved in together and it didn't work out.
I can think of one.
You would be the first person that in your past relationship where you lived with somebody.
Oh yeah, so there's that one, and then I know someone I went to high school with. So yeah.
Okay. Let me see. I'm trying to make sure I got this thing figured out right. But while I do that.
But that's what I'm saying. It was good to go because like it may not show up over there, but like you can see it down there. Who said it?
Yeah. I'll put that back up there.
Okay.
Boom.
Thank you.
Tarika said, I like things organized. I also like all doors in the house closed.
And see, I'm the opposite. I was literally just saying to King that I can't wait for us to move in together so I can leave doors open because I believe in like natural sunlight. And it's funny because I'm allergic to everything outside, but I love giving the illusion that I can have all of that sunlight and everything on the inside. So I like having doors open to radiate and let in as much natural light as possible. And I know that for me, I do that because it helps offset my seasonal depression. The more sunlight I can get into a place, the better it is, the more it helps me. So that's why I do that.
It's like that scene on Friday. No more locked doors. That was a horrible accent.
It really, I wasn't going to say it, but.
Okay. Now, you recently bought a book.
I did.
And we've talked about that book on this channel, but I don't recall. Did you ever read it before?
I never read it before. There was definitely one of those things that I just Googled and got information for.
Okay.
But then I read the book, or I started reading the book.
So, can you tell us the name of the book and what you've learned so far?
So the title of the book, because it's not in arm's length. So the title of the book is something pertaining to the 5 love languages. And let me pull up the book cover, the book jacket. 5 love languages, Coleman. I think his name was Coleman.
You were close. Gary Chapman.
See, I knew there was a. Okay. So it is entitled Five Love Languages: The Secret to Love That Lasts. And what had happened was yesterday after service, I needed to kill some time, and I went to Barnes and Nobles. Well, I went to the mall thinking the mall was going to be open. It wasn't. Barnes and Nobles was. And I needed to go to the restroom. And when I came out, the restroom was right off of the religious section. And I was just like scanning through, and I was like, oh, okay, let me see what I see. Let me see what I like. And while I was there, I saw that book and I started reading it. And I was like, I need to buy this book so that I can start writing in it right now. So this is the image of it, Five Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. He's a therapist and a marriage counselor. And it was one of the biggest things that stood out to me was in chapter 1 or 2 when he was talking about love as a language. So first he kind of set the premise to let us know that love is something that we all need. And with us having love, we operate in a different manner when we have love versus when we don't have love. And when we, that's distracting me.
Well, look at me.
I can't.
Look at me.
So we operate differently when we have love versus when we don't have love. And he said that when we are children, we learn a language. Whatever language we learn, it's our primary language, and it's the language that our parents, our siblings, or whomever is in our household, that's the language that they speak, and that is our primary language. Yet when we go off into the world, we're going to encounter people who speak different languages. And when you get into a relationship, the odds of you getting with someone who speaks the exact same love language as you is slim to none. And because of that, if we want to find success in relationships, we have to learn how to speak that other person's language. So we have to kind of put our primary language aside to be able to speak the language of the person that we are with. And while I've heard of love languages for many, many years, well, I've heard of love languages for many, many years. Hearing it presented like that, it changed everything. And to CQ, who just popped into the chat, so your friend here is trying to figure out some things, and he keeps changing the screens. And I have ADHD, so I'm like, wait, what? What am I supposed to be talking about? Like, why are you changing the screens? I can't focus.
You got this.
I don't got this.
I have faith in you.
I don't know why you have faith in me.
I believe in you.
Why?
Because I do.
So back to the book. So the book was really interesting. I did find it curious. I'm not finished with it. I'm still reading through it, but it really, really stands out to me. Just that simple part that we all have love tanks, that if we operate from an empty love tank, it completely changes how we go about life. But then furthermore, if we are able to operate from a full love tank, we will be better in our relationships. We'll have a healthier standpoint in our relationships. And then also taking into consideration that we need to be able to speak the language that our partner receives.
So I've gone through Gary Chapman's book, and I did it when I was in marriage counseling. And there are things that I agree with the book wholeheartedly that I'm like, if you haven't healthy understanding of it, and the person that you're with hasn't healthy understanding of it, then y'all definitely have some of the tools in your tool belt to make things work. The stuff that I agree with is that, yes, you should have an understanding of your love language. Even more important is to have an understanding of the other person's love language. And you have to have the ability to give that to that person. You have to have the wherewithal to know that there are some times where you're gonna, and it's not muting yourself, but you just have to be aware of what that person needs and be able to give it to them. And you should have an honest conversation on if you're able to do that or not. Because it might come down to you're not the type of person that's just simply able to do that.
And that's fair. But that also does come back to how we understanding that it is a language. Like if I were to sit here and speak to you in Chinese, in Mandarin, are you going to understand what I'm saying?
Nope.
Why not?
Because all I know is ichi ni san.
So that's Japanese.
Okay. Continue. My bad.
Same thing for if I were just sitting here signing in ASL, you're not going to understand it. And then, oh, how about this kicker? So what if we were both deaf, but from different countries, and I know ASL and you know like uh British sign language. So ASL is American Sign Language, but you know, like British sign or whatever, or like Brazilian. But there's different sign language all over the world. Like ASL is just American Sign Language. Again, if we're not speaking the same language, we're not going to be able to understand and receive the message that the other person has for us. But sidebar, I did not know you studied that. You went through that book in marriage counseling. I don't.
I mentioned it on the live stream.
Which live stream?
One of our live streams. The
Was
King
I
and Me.
there?
Yes. You've
sure?
been on all of the King and Me's.
I don't remember that.
Yes, because I even talked about I talked about two things. A, when we were talking about it, that's when I had explained that that's how I got the understanding of what they were in the first place. And then B, I talked about how we had the checkerboard thing where somebody has the floor. So
I remember the floor.
Okay. Michael Calaskillo said it's all about attention with intention. I was proud of myself for being able to say that and not get tongue twisted.
I'm proud of you too.
Thank you. It's all about attention with intention.
Mm-hmm.
So is he saying like being able to know what you're doing for somebody? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree. I 1000% agree with that. I think you really do have to care enough to give that person the attention or whatever they may need, and then be intentional about it, not just coming at it from a self-serving perspective.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. You talked about the love tank. How much of your love tank do you think your significant other need to give you?
I think it's amazing if your significant other can fill your love tank, but I don't think it's their responsibility to be the only thing filling your love tank. And I think that is problematic. If I were to say, prior to meeting you, my love tank was on a 0, and I'm coming to you expecting you to take it all the way up to full. Like, I think that's problematic. I think that is putting way too much pressure on you and way too much pressure on our relationship for you to be my everything, all in all, and the only person who pours into my love tank. I think that's too much to ask for from you.
It's too much to ask from me. And I can also tell you, I'm not capable of being your everything. There are people that they're like, oh, you're my everything. And I'm like, how? How can you be that person's everything? I get y'all are being lovey-dovey, but no, seriously, how? Michael Carrasquillo said, I'm also sitting here trying to not take it personally that I've never been invited on this show. You know what's interesting about that? Is that we've had streams from your studio and I've still never invited you on this show.
Please know it's not.
I also have some technical stuff that I need to get with you as technical director because this is still not showing up the way that it's supposed to show. And I've reset everything and can't figure it out. But back to the show. There was something that was in that chapter, or in that book, because I read the first chapter. I got as far as you got. You read the intro.
Really kind of sad. Like,
chapter
you read
1.
so fast. I sat there for 90 minutes and you were able to get to the same place in
like 20
minutes that it took me 90 to get to. Man, ADHD is a thing.
I thought that the author, who's a psychologist or wherever he is, marriage counselor, all of those things. He probably has a lot of alphabets behind his letters.
Mm-hmm.
He said that everyone wants to be loved.
No, he didn't say want. He
said
needs.
See, I disagree with both of those, whether it was want or need. I don't think everyone needs to be loved. I
Everyone
think,
does need to be loved.
do monks need to be loved?
Yes.
By
They
who?
But the thing is, monks typically aren't on their own. Like, you think love and you think of it in the most romantic way. Like, that's where you're relating it
I
to.
know where you're going with this.
And love isn't just romantic.
Okay.
Like, and I say this with love, but if you couldn't have your conversations and your communications or your ability to hang out with CQ, would you be okay?
Yeah, I'll be all right.
If you never talk to CQ again, you'd be fine.
I
Like,
live
from this moment on, you'd be fine.
I would live a long and prosperous life. I can move to the mountains, cut off
So
myself
I'm
with
gonna
social
move
media.
this way. That way, when he gets struck down by lightning for that lie, I don't get struck down too, because but that's what I'm saying. So the Greek say that there are 4 different types of love, including familial love, platonic love, brotherly sisterly love, and romantic love. Um, when we say we need love, just like he said in the book, like, we use love to mean everything. We use love to say I love you, like I love you, my man, or I love apples, or I love everything. Exactly. We use that one word to say all of that. We do need love. Like, you need that brotherly love that you have with CQ. You need that brotherly love and engagement. Oh, he's about to say something petty. You need that brotherly love and engagement that you have with the Afros. You need that parental love that you have with your dad. Like, we need love. We need love.
When I'm alone in the room, sometimes I stare at the wall,
Okay,
and in the back of my mind, I hear my conscience call, telling me I need a girl who's sweet as a dove. For the first time in my life, I see I need love. This ain't LL Cool J. I don't need love.
I think CQ said it perfectly.
Lies, King Smith, all lies.
All lies.
This is a house not built on a den of lies. This is a house built on facts. Telling you, I should just move to Mongolia right now.
And then be with all the other monks who are together, and that is love. That is the brotherly love.
I don't need to speak to them.
No one said you had to speak, but the camaraderie alone, knowing that you aren't alone, is a type of love.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
When it comes to, there were some questions that were in the book as well. And a lot of the questions were asking you how you felt about stuff.
Yeah.
What was the one thing that you wrote that might have surprised you as you were writing it?
Because again, I'm only 3 chapters deep, but I sent you a screenshot of something. Let me see if I can, can't read my own handwriting. That's weird. So the first question at the end of the first chapter said, how does your spouse respond when you try to show affection? And for that to have come right in chapter 1, it was like, oh, okay, straight out the gate. Like, let's go ahead and address this issue. I know that my love language is quality time and physical touch. You're not repulsed when I touch you. However, you don't see the necessity for excessive touch.
Mm-hmm.
So you won't immediately pull. It's not like I go to touch and you're like, not like that, but you'll sit there, you'll process, you'll take a potato or two, and then you may start moving, and it's kind of like a subtle adjustment that, like, okay, we're here. We're here. Or if we're cuddling or something like that, you give me notification that, like, the cuddling session is almost over and that we've reached, our end for that. And I wrote in there that I appreciate that you do give me, like, this little warning, like, okay, in 2 minutes. Or you'll set a timer. And, I'll hear you set the timer. So you're like, hey, set a timer for 10 minutes. And I'll know that I have 10 minutes of cuddling. That way I can get what I need without putting too much on you in that particular moment. And I greatly appreciate it. I don't think I've ever said that publicly. I sent you the screenshot of me writing it in there, but I don't think I've ever said that to you. So I do thank you for that. It means a lot.
Cool. And that's something that I've tried to make something that I think about because I don't think about it, right? And I want to say I showcased that today when after I got off work, I wanted to just kind of relax and chill a little bit.
Yeah.
And you and I were sitting on the couch together.
And we cuddle.
You were watching The Punisher, and I really didn't want to watch anything, but I had Young Sheldon on in the background, and I looked over and I said, "Hey, can you come cuddle on me while I just relax and chill?" And you like, it was like she Goku instant transmission where she was
Say less.
sitting
Okay?
on
Say less.
and in the cuddle position already, and she was still able to watch her show and get that physical touch quality time thing that she really likes. And like that wasn't on the top of my list of things to do, but I know that she enjoys it. So I made sure to just think about that because I was going to be sitting there laying down anyway. And like she said, it's not that it's not at the top of my list, but I want to make sure that she gets what she needs, because when she gets what she needs, I get what I need and everything works out.
Oh, so you said something great there. You said that when I get what I need, you get what you need, and everything just works out. So is that how a relationship should be? Should it be that one person gets what they need? And like I'm not trying to trigger anything.
Yeah, no.
But should it be that one person gets what they need so that the other person can get what they need? So should one partner, not putting any gender roles on anything, but should partner A ensure that partner B has what they need in the hopes that partner B will then in turn give partner A everything that they need?
It's that, but more defined.
Okay.
And I believe it's what CQ said earlier when he talked about attention with intention. So if you're giving me what I need and I neglect what you need, eventually that's going to build up into something that you're not going to be able to tolerate for much often. I mean, just in general, I don't think people are built that way to where they could just give
Yeah.
and not receive anything. So it's not necessarily being tit for tat,
Mm-hmm.
but both parties have to be mindful of what they're giving and what they're receiving. And it just, like, to me, this kind of sucks, but I get the dynamic. You have to really be able to receive something in the love language that speaks to you.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you want to be lovey-dovey and touching up on me all the time, I'm going to be like, this does nothing for me.
Exactly.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things that attention with intention. And I think that CQ really summed it up, because thinking about it that way doesn't give it that tit for tat thing. But both parties have to be mindful of that attention with intention. That should go on the shirt.
Okay, I'm gonna text that to myself.
But
But wait, that means we gotta quote CQ on it.
No, he gets no proceeds.
Wow.
None. Greek Pete is in the building. He said, "Hey guys," he did me a solid yesterday on the sports bar on WTF Nation Radio, being able to pop in and talk about WrestleMania on the sports bar. So Greek Pete, with that, brother, thank you for bailing me out, because I had no knowledge of WrestleMania whatsoever. And he was able to do that within like a 5 minutes notice.
That's awesome. Thank you.
And I don't know if he wants sharing what he's going through right now, but Michelle does know, and we got your back, man. And if there's anything that you need while you are doing what you're doing, let us know.
Yes, please.
All right. Now, what do you say to people that think that the 5 love languages is bogus?
You know, I'm not saying this to be petty, but I do legitimately wonder, for those who think that, like, how is their relationship? And I would love to ask both people in the relationship separately, how is your relationship? Because whether you know it by the 5 love languages or you know it by simply honoring the needs of your partner, it's the same thing. And it kind of boils down to, you are, exactly what CQ said, giving attention with intention. You are making time for that other person. You are making sure that their needs are met, and not just physical needs. And I think too often people think that when we say like a person has needs, that we're thinking about only the physical needs that a person may have, but we do have emotional needs that need to be addressed. And I think that's what love languages helps us.
Why'd you stop?
Because I saw your face.
I was listening to you.
You were making a face. You made that face
I
that says,
I do.
I disagree, but I'm just gonna wait till Michelle finishes talking before I say anything.
I do not have a poker face. Pete said, "Is $1 million too much to ask?" It is for right now.
I mean, you can ask for it.
You can certainly ask for it, and you can say it. I'm okay with it. So, his mother has a diagnosis. I don't know if he said the diagnosis, and he is. I know he's talked about it on our live stream in the chats. And he is the caretaker for his mother, and we talked about it on one of our. I think it might have been last week's episode, or a week or two ago.
No, it was like 2 weeks ago. I know what you're talking about.
And he's dating. He's actively dating. I want to say actively, but he said that it's difficult because while he's the caretaker for his mom and he still has to work, it's difficult for him to find somebody and be in a relationship with somebody that has to put as much time as they have to being a caretaker. And on the flip side of that, if he does find somebody that is okay with that and they both like each other, because there has to be some attraction there, don't let that person go.
Yeah.
Don't let that person go. Okay, he did put it here in the chat. She has cancer, colon cancer stage 3. So I wasn't sure how to say it or whatnot, but yeah. So we are rooting for you. We're rooting for your mother, man. And again, dude, if there's anything that you need, you've got peers and friends and family in us. So be sure to reach out anytime, man. You said that you have anxiety about us moving in together. I don't. I have none. The only thing,
you're not the one with OCD.
The only thing that is making the back of my neck itch is that my budget changes. I don't want to say how much I'm paying in rent right now, but it is a significant difference than what it is going to be when you and I move in together. And I'm not going to say I'm struggling, but I'm like right there skimming water on that one because it's a change.
Now, to be fair, I do want to just clarify that it's not that it's a big jump. The reality is he's paying far below market rate right now for where he lives. And when he moves out, he's going to have to pay market rent. So that's what the difference is. It's not that he's going above his budget or anything like that. It's just he's going from paying far below, like if this is market, he's like down here and he's going to move to market to pay.
Yep.
So that's where that is coming in, which makes sense.
Yeah. So again, I'm not struggling with that. I am planning and preparing for it. And it actually has kind of motivated me to accelerate independent of our finances right now, because we're separate for the most part. We do contribute to a joint savings account. It's motivated me to go, you know what? I'm looking at getting my debt plan cleared up and completed faster because of that. So on one hand, it's like, well, this sucks. On the other hand, again, there isn't anything about us being together that has spelled doom and gloom for me. And to be honest with you, if there was one thing that would have spelled doom and gloom, we couldn't have made it as far as we've gotten it. And I couldn't even, I'm going to tell you, I just couldn't think or fathom making the move in together if there was something that I doubted. As of today, as of right now, I'm solid on my side. Is there going to be an adjustment? Yes.
There will be an adjustment. And I say that, but so the last person I lived with was an ex-boyfriend whose birthday was...
Keep talking.
Whose birthday was Wednesday. And King and my ex have spoken before on the phone and, all that good stuff. They've had chats. They have their own like little bro code. I know you just saw it. They have their own little bro code.
I got you, Pete.
It's fun. But what stands out to me about that is the same thing that like I'm having anxiety about living with King about right now is something that my ex has told me that he greatly appreciated about me
Oh, I bet.
afterwards.
I bet.
It was an after thing.
You have a way of being appreciated after you're gone.
That's everything. But that's with everything. Like I tell my students, I'm like, you're not going to appreciate me or my content until you no longer have me as a teacher. That is when you will appreciate what I've taught you. It sucks that that's when it happens, but it'll happen eventually, just not while you have me. And the same thing for him, he appreciated that stuff like after we weren't living together anymore. I don't want you to ever get to that place. I would rather you appreciate it, while it's there, while it's here.
No doubt.
But I am like, I'm not like a clean freak. Like I'm not the type of person where you can't sit down and you can't be comfortable. But I am the type of person who is like, but I need you to be observant that you make a mess and like clean up behind it type thing. And I'm also if there's nothing in the sink, then why put a dirty dish in the sink if the dishwasher has dirty dishes in there? Like contribute to the dishwasher. Little stuff like that in the grand scheme of things, I'm like, I feel like this makes sense.
P said, you won't appreciate it until you lose it. And I believe that Michelle has qualities that when you really step back and think about it, she's only trying to do what's best, not just for her own sanity, but for the people that's around her. And it can be really frustrating to her when people don't see it or they don't understand it. And I've had it happen once where I was like, oh, that's why you do things that way. Okay.
But it makes sense when you think about it. Like it's not just me being like, OCD or controlling or anything like that. It's just some things when organized in a better way make a lot of sense. But this is not to say that I don't have, a mess here and there. Like if you saw the trunk of my car, it's organized mess. Like I know everything that's in there. I know exactly where everything is. The inside of my car is clean, but the trunk, not so much. But everything has a purpose. And I believe if you create, spaces where things can go, everything will work out just right. So do I believe that organizational totes are going to be like our friend and that we'll have storage things so that things are organized? I surely do.
Wow. Way to sneak that one up in there.
But let's be honest. But okay, no, like we could talk about the elephant in the room.
Go ahead.
I am an organized person because I put things in like different places, right? And I know that about myself. If I don't put things in a certain place, I'm not going to be organized. I think that we can both benefit from organizational totes and things that allow us to store things better. Store away what we don't need, out of sight, out of mind, and then better organize what is in sight and in our mind.
Okay. It'll be an adjustment, but I don't hear nothing bad about it.
It's not an adjustment for you because it's something you kind of do now. It just needs to be tightened.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the vote of confidence.
Yeah. It's just, you'll forget where something is. So then when you find it, you put it in what you think is a more convenient location and then you forget. So then you move it to a different location. So it looks like it's not organized, but there's a level of organization to it.
I mean, almost like what happened today, right before the show, as we were getting things set up on the technical stuff. I actually had some organized, but couldn't find it.
Yeah, see?
And it eventually popped up, and I was like, oh, look at me trying to be better in life.
Yeah. Paul Bennett jumped in to say, Oscar. I really cannot believe you've never seen The Odd Couple.
No.
Like, did you not watch Nick at Night? Oh, you were probably serving the country. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Never mind. Okay, sorry, Paul. He was probably off serving the country at that time. I used to watch Nick at Night all the time.
Okay.
And when I watched Nick at Night, they would show the old black and white and the older in color things. So I would watch I Love Lucy and Bewitched
I
and
watched Bewitched.
Taxi
Didn't watch
and
Taxi.
Cheers
Watch Cheers.
and The Odd
Never
Couple
watched
and
it.
like all of those like classic shows that were on back during that time. Like I used to love that stuff. Used to live for it.
So, like, are you talking Nick at Night in the late 2000s or the early 2000s?
Yeah, when you were serving the country, like
Oh,
that wasn't a
yeah.
priority. Literally, like that's why I'm not being funny. That was um so probably the end of my high school time and my college time.
Mm-hmm.
So my high school and then my college time, and by my college time, you were literally off serving the country. So
Okay.
Nick at Night was not a priority for you.
That makes sense.
Nick at Night was Nickelodeon, but at night. So they still played wholesome television shows, but it was definitely geared more towards adults than the kids who were that time. But
Bet.
yeah, if you could, like, if there was a way for you to be able to see it, you should. It's funny. That's also where I would watch Perfect Strangers. Like, oh man, all these shows back in the day that you've never seen. Perfect. Oh my gosh,
Is that a
who
TV
am I
show?
dating? Yes, it's a good TV show too.
Um, I'm in a group in which guys are seeking advice from other guys. And that was one of the ones that I read to you. And I thought that it was interesting. And we've talked about it, but let's bring this one back up. One person is engaged to be married.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about how his fiance chides him and will say things like, what kind of a man pays 50-50? And everybody that offered advice, because the guy was really more venting, he wasn't asking the question, but everybody said, dude, do not get married to that person until y'all have a serious conversation about what expectations are. So for the people out there, if you go to different spaces, they'll say, I don't want no man that's even, considering 50-50, or, I'm gonna need a man to pay everything, or whatever, yada, yada. I don't fall into a traditional thing when it comes to that. My thing is, it has to be a conversation about how things are going to be handled in that relationship. I think Michelle and I are both on the same page that there isn't really an expectation, but it's a conversation. That's the shun that hits in this. Conversation.
Oh, we should have that as a title, The Shuns of Dating.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Bam.
Bam.
So there are things that are just going to have to make sense for what y'all agree on. And you can't let anybody outside of that relationship dictate what would make your relationship successful.
And so that's how we got into the conversation about rent, because renter's insurance, because I was saying that if two people, unless they make the exact same amount of money, paying 50-50 may be equal, but it's not equitable. You make about 2.5, or like somewhere between 2.3 and 2.5 times what I make, right?
I've done the math and it's 2.7.
There we go. Okay. So you make 2.7 times the amount of money that I make in a year. So in a 12-month calendar period, that's how much more money than me that you make. Let's say that we have a household where bills are $2,500. Like everything in the house, including rent, mortgage, whatever, is $2,500. To say, let's go easier, 2,000. To say that, Michelle, you pay 1,000 and I'll pay 1,000, it sounds equal, but it's not equitable, because 1,000 for you is significantly less impactful than 1,000 for me, considering the fact that you make 2.7 times more than I do. So $1,000 for me is a little under one pay period after, like, net, not gross. It's a little under what I make in one pay period. I say a little, I'm being generous. It's probably about like half of what I make in one pay period. So to say that I pay 1,000 a month and it's about half of what I make in one pay period. So essentially, let's just say that's what I earn in a week. Whereas $1,000 for you at your salary is probably what you earn in about 2 days, 2.5 days. Essentially, that's what we're saying. So when we say that, like 50-50, it's not a realistic goal unless both people earn the exact same amount of money. Because at the end of the day, someone is paying more, because 50% to one person is going to be more than 50% for another person is going to be. And what does it cost the relationship if you say that? So for the person who makes more, okay, that person is able to take their remaining money that they have and be able to use it and do all these other things. Whereas the other person in the relationship, they're probably going to struggle. They may find themselves making more difficult decisions, and that will negatively impact the relationship. I'm not saying that one person should get a free ride in the relationship, but that a conversation should be had to be able to decide what is equitable for them to be able to pay.
Man, I had a joke and it was PG-13, but I'm not going to say it. Now, I agree with everything that you said, but only that's because you and I have talked about this before. So I don't have anything to add to that. Now, we're going to do a little bit of Reddit reading over here, and this is Reddit dating. But while I set this up, can you give us some additional thoughts about what we talked about as I work through this?
You really make 2.7 times more than I do? I thought it was just like 2.5.
Nope.
Wow. Man, teachers are underpaid. And like the funny thing is, people will say all the time, teachers make way too much money, da 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 da. You know, you get your summers off. Yeah, we also don't get paid for the summer. So for those 2 months that I'm not working, I don't get paid. I don't get paid for spring break. I don't get paid for winter break. All of those breaks that we have, we don't get paid for it. I am a contractual employee, and my contract says that I work 190 days. When the district decides to pay me for those 190 days is completely on the district, as long as it's within contract language. But I only get paid for 190 days out of a 365-day calendar year. So take that into consideration. Some districts in Maryland pay for a little bit more, but it boils down to like hours and stuff like that. I get paid for 190 days. How many days do you get paid for out of a year?
All of them? Or 200 and something. I forget what the number
It's like
was that to be.
260.
I think it's 274 or something like that.
He gets paid for 274. I get paid for 190. Like, we don't get paid for the summertime. We don't get paid for those winter breaks, spring break, none of those breaks. So
do better. Now, we're going to end this live stream here with a question from Reddit. And I'm going to admit, I did not fully read this through. So here goes. Let's transition that over here and bring this up on the screen. I can't believe I made that work. All right. So, men of Reddit, is it true men don't like when women do this? So this person on Reddit posed the question. I'm a lover girl at heart. I love to spoil the person that I'm with. Nothing fancy or anything, but small things that show them that I care. Unfortunately, all the time and energy, along with thoughtful gestures, have been wasted on men that betrayed my trust and didn't value me. For a while, I felt the best way to go was to completely detach myself in dating and go through it with a cold heart. A lot of advice you see online is that men will resent women that do too much for them. It becomes too much of a game that I decided to just do what my heart tells me. Lately, I've been seeing a guy and I really like him. He takes me out on dates and brings me around his friends, and we all have a good time. I feel cared for by him. I decided to surprise him with food delivered to his place so he can start off his day on a good note. He got it and thanked me, and all is well. Now I can't help but to feel stupid. Like I did a lot and went out of my way for a guy, the same way I did to previous guys that hurt me. Now I can't help but feel that there are women out there that will never have to do anything for a man, that will be treated better than someone that does these gestures. To clarify, I am feeling upset at delivering food to him because the past has taught me that men don't care and I'll end up getting betrayed and it's all a waste of time. Who? Michelle, I know that she was asking this about men, but man, oh man, I could see you sort of like this.
Yeah, because I was thinking the same thing.
To an extent, you'll do it, but you'll also be quick to back out. Like once you see that it's not reciprocated. So, what are your thoughts before I answer this from my point of view? Because I can't answer for all men.
So I look at it and I'm like, oh, I've done that. Even when we first started, before we started dating, when we were just friends, I told you that sometimes I think I am too much.
Yes.
And I did too much. And I see a lot of myself in this. I did do a lot in previous relationships, not because I was trying to keep a man or anything like that, but because that is just, so I have my own love language for how I like to be loved.
Mhm.
Sorry, touch my mic. For how I like to be loved. But then I have the general love language that I speak to others, which is to do and serve. Like that's something that, generationally, my whole family does. Like we are all in the service industry, from my grandmother who was in nursing to my dad who was also in the medical field, my mom who also does that as well. Like I just come from a lineage of people who believe in serving others, and then whatever, like that's where I come from. So for me, what the love that I give out to other people is through service and through doing things for other people. So when I would do this for men and I felt like it wasn't received, you're right. I'm quick, fast, and in a hurry to back out. And piggybacking off of what Pete said earlier, the moment I feel like something's not there, I'm deuces. I'm out. Like I won't give anyone a second opportunity to hurt me or to take advantage of me. So I know that's to men. And all I can say is like, I've been there before. I've given a lot. I'm grateful for this relationship because it's what you said earlier. I give to you, you give to me. Like you look at it as, if I speak to her in her love language, she'll take care of everything. But I look at it as you receive what I give and you receive it in love and you reciprocate it with more love that benefits me, and we Gucci Mane. I appreciate it.
From my perspective, again, I don't speak for all men, but I'm going to say in general, this question, it's got layers to it. On one layer, we're talking about what we talked about earlier today in understanding the other person's love language. If somebody is some person that is not an acts of service guy, then you thinking about things and leaving him stuff and sending him food delivery like that, if you do it fairly often and he's not used to it, it's going to seem like that's too much to that person. And that's one layer. Another layer is that you have to be a man that's comfortable in who you are to be able to receive that. If you and I would have met before I was a lot more confident in myself, then I could have interpreted everything that you've done as too much. And I'm not saying like just you, just anybody that takes those additional thoughtful steps. It could have seemed like to me, ooh, this is too much. This person's doing too much. I don't know if I want this. And I'm out.
Right. And then I was also thinking, like right before you said that, love bombing. Some people may interpret it as like you're dumping all of this love here, like you're getting too attached too soon. Like the actions in and of themselves, I'm fine with it. But maybe instead of doing it after one day, it should be like after a month. So it's not the action, but it's how soon the action is happening. For some, that may be the thing. So like maybe this guy, maybe he would have loved it if it had happened like a month into it, not a week into it or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So is it true that men don't like when women do this? In general, no. But you have to have an understanding of how often you're doing what you're doing. And while it can be thoughtful, it can be appreciative, I wouldn't do it like Michelle said after date number one. I would give that some time and make it something that you show your appreciation in your way, like, because that's what you're doing. You might be showing it in a way that brings love to you, but you should have an understanding of how that person expresses and receives love, and give that person that.
So, question.
Okay.
In the movies, right, we see in all the romance movies, we see that after a guy and a gal go on that first date, the guy will send like flowers or something to the woman just to say, hey, I thought of you. Here's hoping you have a great day. Why is it okay for the man to do that to the woman, but not for the woman to do that to the man?
Oh man, you got me sitting up. Ah.
And I say that because we see it in the movies. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
talking about, what real people do in their real lives, but I'm saying for some, life imitates art. So they're doing what they see. And maybe this young lady, she has watched all those rom-coms and she sees what men do for women after the first date. And maybe she's like, hey, I want to do that too. So I'm going to send you breakfast to your place of employment or to your home or whatever. Why is that frowned upon in comparison to what we do see in the rom-coms, where the man will send the woman flowers or chocolate or something after a date? And the woman will gush and be like, "Aw, thank you,"
That's actually an interesting dynamic. I've never thought about that.
But you know what I'm talking about, right? Because we love a good rom-com. So I'm just curious.
I've never thought about that. That's interesting. I don't have a thought off the top of my head right now, but I am going to think about that one a little bit more, because I am curious, like what triggers that, and why is that still a part of that story type that occurs that people will get gushy over. Interesting. Paul Bennett earlier said, even if a woman earns much more than a man, he is still expected to be the provider. Expectations are not equal despite advances in women's rights. And Paul, they will never be equal. It's just that there are things that can occur, right? I can say, as of right now, that if things go bump in the night, we did it at the movie theater. We picked 2 seats in the movie theater and there was one entrance, and I said, I want to be on this side so that if something pops off, I'm ready to be able to instruct us on both what to do. And I said it kind of like that, but in a different way, in a way that made her giggle and laugh. But she also understood why I wanted the seat closest to the door. If a 6'2" dude comes into the room and it gets physical, the chances are greatly increased that I can handle that, and Michelle, then greater odds of me handling it than her, right? You can't argue that one. That is a physiological based thing. The only equalizer would be as if you and I were both carrying Smith and Wesson, and we figure out which one got their bullet off first. Right? That would be the equalizer in that scenario. Yes, there is equality in a lot of things when it comes to the genders. There wasn't equality in a lot of different things when it comes to your skin tone and gender over time, and we've made advances in that.
Yeah.
And for me, I grew up with a lot of the traditional ways of thinking that with how I am now, I'm not a traditional thinker. I'm a what makes sense type of person. It makes sense for me to be the one to have to deal with a physical threat over Michelle. It makes sense for Michelle to be the one to organize stuff because I'm not a great organizer. It makes sense that because my income is more than Michelle's,
2.7
then there are ways that we need to structure how things get paid accordingly, because we also have to factor in vacations and other things like that. Like, just on my income alone with moving, let's say you contributed nothing. a lot of the trips and things that we do, I just say, hey, look, let's show up, let's have a good time, don't worry about much. Michelle wants to contribute, I don't let her. And that's not me trying to be manly or anything like that. It just makes sense in our dynamic for it to occur that way. If she was making more than me, I'd be like, babe, here's the thing. My income don't let me go this far.
My
Help.
income lets me go to the curb. Your income can take us further.
So,
That's fair.
you know, it's just what makes sense. I used to think that I was traditional because that's what I grew up seeing. So I thought that things had to be a certain way. That don't mean that I don't do stuff that, like, I know that just makes you giddy, like opening the car door for you. Do I do it all the time?
No, but when you do, it makes me feel pretty.
You know, so and I do it when it makes sense. Like if we getting up to the car and I forgot to unlock the car door,
You can't open it for
you can't
me.
open it from the passenger side. I might as well just bloop and then you get your butt in the car and we go. So
And yes, for the record, when he does open my car door, I do lean across and open up his
every single
single time.
So that's our live stream for today.
That was nice.
It was dope. We do want to thank everybody that tuned in and popped in. Paul Bennett did have another comment, said, in speaking finances, most women don't pay 70% of the bills, even though they can. Even they lose respect. It's hard for me to disagree with that.
I'm not going to disagree. I do, because I'm a questions-based person. So, and Paul, this is not something that I'm saying you should respond to on air, but like private message King, if you're willing to answer. But I'm curious, like, what's the financial breakdown in your household? And again, coming from you've been married for a really long time. So obviously, whatever you and your wife have decided, much respect to you all, it works. So just very curious into knowing what that breakdown is. So not like numbers, just overall percentage. Or like we have a friend, the friend who introduced us, when she introduced us, she was technically a teacher at that time, and her husband probably made 2.7 times more than she did, and she flat out told us that her husband paid the bills and that her income was supposed to pay for trips and vacations and stuff like that. And who knows, knowing them, it probably is the same dynamic situation now. But I respected that. Like, I will always respect that, because that means that the two of them had a conversation, right? The two of them had a conversation about how things were going to break down. And I think that that in and of itself is how you can alleviate problems, when you have that conversation with people. That way, no one goes into it. So today is April, and I'm asking you questions about December when we move in. You know, what expectations do you have for me financially? What do you want me to be able to pay? What do you want me to be able to contribute? We ironed out some of that stuff today. I told you renter's insurance is important for me. I was like, I'll pay that. Like, I don't mind tacking that onto my auto insurance, because it is something that's important to me. You were talking about taking care of the home. I said, okay, well then I got, cable, because not cable, internet, because internet is like essential to everything that we do. So I'll take that on. And I think it's all about, are you having that conversation? Are you having that dialogue with the person that you're with? And if you can't say with a resounding and overwhelming yes, then I think that is part of the problem.
And I do have a point of clarification. The 2.7 came from what I made last year, but that was a temporary bump. So it is not going to be 2.7 this upcoming year. It is going to be closer, I think, 2.2.
But were you included? You weren't including your.
I was including that.
Your 100%?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I had an additional source of revenue that I don't think about. And it's been a nice additional source of revenue. But it's not a forever thing.
Oh, okay. But still.
Yeah, I was like, I totally forgot about that streamer, which is a great thing can the long
That's
term.
how you know you got money, when you can forget about a source of income. Okay, that's how you know you got money.
Hey, you also know you have money when you literally wait till April 15th to pay your taxes. I remember back in the day, I get that W-2 or whatever it is, I couldn't wait for that thing to come, and then I couldn't wait to file because I was typically getting a refund.
Respectfully, my rush, A, is me living up to my last name. B, me not trusting the government. Respectfully.
True.
Like, I was like this before COVID, but COVID definitely got me to change how quickly I file. Like, when I was younger, I would file my income taxes probably like no later than February 5th. When my stuff was like really, really simple and I didn't have to wait for anything, I would file it no later than February 5th every single year, to the point that H&R Block knew, hey, sis is about to come through and like schedule this appointment no later than. So that way by February 15th, 20th, whatever refund I was getting, I had it back by then. Because January 31st, legal date that they have to have all that stuff, if anyone was mailing anything to me, it was going to be to me by like February 2nd. Nah, homie, I had my appointment already set. I would have my appointment set with H&R Block
Yeah, the whole
before
system.
whole
Yeah,
system,
the whole system
because
set
I'm
up.
organized.
This is true. All right, to Misty for the shirt, thank you.
Thank you, Mustard.
To everybody that tuned in live, we appreciate y'all tuning in live. We don't have anything upcoming that we're doing really between now and Castle's graduation. I don't think. Well, we got the one weekend that we're trying to set something up and do. Trying to get off in the cabins or get off in the mountains or something. We haven't.
Did you look at the calendar? We can't leave as early as you thought we could on Friday.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll follow it up and check it out. Paul Bennett said, Michelle, Pastor
Dior says from a
I don't get the references.
Oh,
man.
You know what?
I've seen a Bronx Temple like once, so I don't remember.
Thank you for your service. Because I know that's why you don't know, because you were off fighting for this country. So thank you for your service. Can we take a moment to thank all of our servicemen and women for their service and how they have continued to fight to keep America safe? Thank you to all who are watching. Thank you for your service. Thank you. Like, we don't need Veterans Day or Armed Forces Day or Memorial Day. We're going to take today, April 21st, just to say thank you for your service. Thank you for your service, baby.
And thank y'all for tuning in. Bring these lips over here so we can end our show.
I love you, baby.
All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Take care. The door test. Okay. Mm-hmm. So do you know what the door test is?
I do. I'll tell you about it offline.
Okay. All right. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Peace.